When I first heard about the suffering of Africans in China, I thought they were just isolated cases. I thought it was just a matter of stigma. Because I remember even here in Kenya, Chinese were being discriminated. Kenyans were running away from Chinese. But after seeing what's happening in China, I am a very disappointed person. And I keep on asking myself one simple question. Why would Chinese target Africans? Why? Because we all know that this particular disease, its origin can be traced to China. And none other than Donald Trump once referred to it as Chinese virus. But why would Chinese now try to baptize it African virus? Why would they do that? And why would they target Africans when they know that this particular disease originated from their continent? From their country. As a matter of fact, the number of cases which tested positive, of Africans which tested positive from China, are negligible. They are less than 30. But why should they target Africans? Because the images coming from that particular country, the videos coming out of that country are shocking.
We don't know where they are taking us to. We have been in quarantine for 14 days now. We don't know where they are taking us to. Everybody is here. Everybody is here at this hotel.
I'm a diplomat agent.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yes, I'm a diplomat agent. In line with the Vienna Convention of 1963, the consular has the right to protect its nationality. What we are doing this night is to protect all our Nigerian nationality. They are not a criminal. They are not anything. Why are you harassing them? These are the things we want to know.
We are discriminated every day. You cannot enter a mall without questions. Even in the buses, we are discriminated. I am appealing for the government to open their ears. They should pump, they should allocate the Ministry of Foreign Affairs money for the Kenyans who are now in China, who are trapped. Every day our doors are knocked. Every day our doors are knocked. Every day we don't live in peace. Kwa Kiswahili hapa tulikuja kuhaso. Kwa sababu Kenya hakukuwa na lingine, ni kuja huku. Sasa tunapokuja huku tena mnatusahau. Tunaomba serikali tukufu yetu kupitia kwa hawa wageni wetu tumewaita kwa hii forum, wachukue jukumu, na si kesho, ni sasa hivi. One of us is in the police, anaitisha msaada na wanamwambia still hawezi kumkaribia, na ni usiku saa 4 za usiku Chinese time. Sasa our good government, serikali yetu tukufu, please intervene.
Unapata unanyimwa, huwezi enda hospitali, huwezi panda gari, huwezi panda train. Hata kuna maduka tayari washaeka hapo mbele notice ya kuwa mtu mweusi haruhusiwi hapo. So maisha imekuwa magumu. Unapata tunatolewa kwa nyumba. Wengine wenye wametolewa kwa nyumba si kuwa wako hawajalipa ama nini. Kuna wengine wamelipa kabisa, lakini juu wamegeukia watu weusi, unapata wanakuambia utoke. Na wengine pia hawajalipa sababu ya kutokuwa na pesa. Toka hii kitu ianze, watu wamekuwa hawana pesa. Ni miezi 4 sasa.
Chinese are just taking advantage because they know hata wafanye nini tutawapeleka nowhere, because those who should represent us, our voices who should talk for us, are not concerned at all. So it's high time we stand for ourselves. As Africans, we should not worship these people, and we should not have pity on them.
Very shocking what's happening to Africans in China. And I want to come down to Kenya in specific. And before I talk about Kenya, I want to take this opportunity to thank Nigeria. The Nigerian ambassador took the Chinese head on. The Nigerian ambassador to China, when he heard this thing was happening, took his time, went there, and took the Chinese head on this matter. And back in Nigeria, the speaker had to summon the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria to his office and sought for answers directly from the ambassador. And that's how systems or governments should protect their people. Thank you, Nigeria.
How you treat our ambassador is very important. Very, very important. And I'm glad you did that. But how you treat our citizens is more important.
I know.
To us
Yes.
than even how you treat the ambassador.
Yes.
So, I just want to take you, and I'm sure my colleagues will have some comments as well. You said you haven't seen any of the videos that are out there. I'm at liberty to show them to you. Everybody has a phone if you want, if that will convince you, because you said you haven't had an official complaint.
You must communicate to us as accredited consulates to you. Then if you communicate to us, we are going to be able to sit with you and then see the modality, how we are going to discuss it with our national.
You know what our government, including those of us here, the resistance we put up just to allow your medical personnel to come in a couple of days ago. Nigerians were worried for good reason, because we have this virus out there. And we're almost undiplomatic the way I'm talking, but it's because I am actually upset about what's going on. So I'm not sure how you want to address this. Have you spoken to your Nigerian counterpart in China? Have you spoken to the Nigerian ambassador in China?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Have you spoken
not
to
on this issue.
I'm talking about this issue. Have you spoken to any official of the Chinese government in China?
But definitely, we have to, like I promised the foreign minister, we take the very...
No, but you have not.
No, we have done it. But
You spoke to the Chinese government?
we're still waiting for because we are here. We don't get the picture, the whole picture. So, but we have to report the concern from Right Honorable Speaker and the Minister. We take it very seriously.
Yeah, whether you have, please, by Monday, because I'm aware that this is a weekend, but by Monday, so we have a couple of days.
On Tuesday.
Please, or Tuesday, because Monday is a public holiday. Well, today is a public holiday, so we're working over public holiday. If you have information by Monday.
Now back to Kenya. Why should the Kenyan government allow its citizen to suffer in China? Personally, I have a cousin who is stuck in China. But why should the government allow citizens to suffer? Remember, the Chinese Southern Airline came into this country with the 239 passengers on board. Majority of them were not even Kenyans. Why couldn't they use that plane to bring back the Kenyans? The government promised to support the Kenyans who are stuck in China. They promised, was it 1 million or 13 million? And if it was calculated, that it was translating to around 13,000. If Kenyan government was serious, they should have followed what Nigerian government has done. When Nigerian government heard about the crisis of their people, they tried to intervene for the entire Africa. Of course, they couldn't do all that. So when it came down, they narrowed down to the Nigerians, and then they went out there, looked for an hotel for the Nigerians and paid for them there. Why can't Kenyan government do the same? Because I've always maintained on this platform and outside this platform that Chinese are normally in Africa for Africa. Chinese are always in Africa for Chinese. They care about their interest than any other interest. That's why it's normally normal to find a Chinese whipping a Kenyan thoroughly even in the villages. It's normal to find a Chinese caning an Africa in these other parts of the country. But what can ordinary Kenyan do? What can ordinary African do? I've seen people like Kenyans went to the embassy, China's embassy in Nairobi, and wrote some paintings there, which in my view is totally uncalled for. There's nothing you can do to China. The only thing the government need to do is to enter into a diplomatic agreement with the Chinese so that they can protect Kenyans. Period. We can't compete with China in anything. There is no technological transfer. We can transfer from Kenya to China. We can only transfer from China to Kenya, or from Africa, from China to Africa. But this particular crisis has taught Africa one thing, that over-reliance on other countries won't help us. There is no need for Africans to continue importing even matchsticks, plastic bags from China or from any other part of the world. Let Africa wake up. Let Africa rise. That's the only solution. Because when it comes to dealing with China, there's nothing they can do. China currently has one of the biggest military bases in Africa, in Djibouti here. So there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can tell them. And they're planning to double it. So there's nothing Kenya can do to China. They can decide and come and what to finye the way they want. But we can enter, the government can enter into diplomatic arrangements with them. When a case like that happened, they can immediately enter into an agreement, diplomatic agreement with China, how they can solve such issues. Because I was reading several things and I was like, why would they target Africa? And I've seen China has actually engaged. China has actually engaged in propaganda. Someone wrote something, having stayed in China for a while. Let me put it into perspective. I think there is a misconception here. Most of the people being evicted are people who have no valid visas. These people have been staying illegally in China since their business tourist permits expired. Very common with Nigerians. Now they are targeting Nigerians. It goes on to say, most of them are either in business or teaching English illegally as they have no work permit. China introduced the nuclear acid test for corona, and it is done for locals and foreigners alike. These people cannot go for the test because their passport will reveal their illegal status. They cannot have green status. This shows you have tested and are corona-free. The landlords have been directed that if they house any person without the green status, then they should be prosecuted and even their property taken over by the government. They have no option but to evict the tenants who are not compliant with the health check. That is the situation here. I read this, but I can easily read it. It's part of the propaganda which China has now engaged in. The fact of the matter remains that even if these people were in China illegally, there's a diplomatic way of dealing with them. How many Chinese are in this country without work permit? How many Chinese are in Nigeria without work permit? How many? Several. In fact, there are more China in Kenya than Kenyans in China. There are more Chinese in Kenya without work permit than even Kenyans in China. So if that's the truth according to them, then they just need to figure it out how they are going to deal with those specific governments. If the Nigerians are in those countries illegally, let them deal with it at that level. Let them not evict people, throw them into the streets like animals, and then expect Africans to clap for them. But the lesson that Africa must learn is that it's high time for Africa to start depending on Africa. It is shameful that currently, because of this crisis, Kenya is able to produce enough face masks. If we didn't have this crisis, all those would have been imported. They would have been imported, and within a very short time. Currently, Kenya is in the process of producing ventilators through the support of the government. So these are some of the lessons which we must learn. industries. The other question I was reading somewhere, someone was asking us that now, because of this crisis, how can Africa benefit from it? We know America currently has problem with China, and they're likely to go into some kind of war, even if not the physical war, trade wars they're likely to enter into. But how can Africa leverage on that to benefit? Can some of the industries which are thriving in China, American industries which are thriving in China, can they be relocated to Africa? And can African government allow them, give them conducive environment? Let's say if Apple were to relocate here, set up industry, their process, their manufacturing plant in here, then it would mean that Africans will be employed. There will be more opportunities if other industries would follow suit. I was reading that the main reason why Italy was affected was because the design industry, major labels like Gucci, those design labels in Italy, because of cheap labor and the cost of production in China, they went and set up industries in China. And that explains why the virus was easily transferred from China to those particular areas. Let Africa use this opportunity to think outside the box. Otherwise, we'll continue crying, we'll continue blaming China, but China is just doing what is good for their country. Each country should do what is good for their country. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day.